name is Jessie Ace. I'm part of a group of enabled warriors that you've probably never heard of. We're fighting back against our invisible illness and taking the dis out of disability. We don't give sympathy to our symptoms. They enable us to be the warrior that we are. If you ask doctors and nurses, they'd say what we're doing is impossible. But pushing the limits of our conditions is something that we have to break through every single day. See, we push the limits. We are mentally strong, and we can do anything. The question is, how far can we push those limits? This podcast will give you the answers. I'm Jessie Ace, and this is the Disabled to Enabled podcast. Enabled Warriors, on our show today is a very active writer, YouTuber and patient advocate who has been living with juvenile arthritis for 14 years. She has built her own advocacy brand by working with several nonprofits, organisations and charities to share her story. Some of these even include the Arthritis Foundation, Suffering the Silence, Invisi Youth, Diversability, Breakthrough Crew, Arthritis National Research Foundation, and the 50 State Network. Creaky Joints. I've got to say that one sounds the best. Creaky Joints. But that's not all.
They're all good.
That's not all. Oh no. She has a YouTube channel called RA and Myself, and the website Rising Above Rheumatoid Arthritis, which cool people shorten to RARA. And she's only gone and written, directed and starred in her own blooming documentary. Her belief is that illness does not have to define who you are. It's only a part of your story, which is so true. I resonate with that so much. Enabled Warriors, please help me in welcoming the amazingly fantastical Effie Koliopoulos, everybody. Woo!
Hi.
Hey!
Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful for you here today. Welcome to the show, Effie. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am very good, thank you. Let's get started by discussing your long journey to your diagnosis, because it sounds like doctors were ignoring you like left, right and centre. What was going on there? Let's have a chat.
Yeah. So I was experiencing symptoms for a couple of years prior, maybe even few years or more. I mean, it was hard to tell, but so I was going for, here in the United States, when you go to high school, you have to go for physicals every year. So I was going for my annual checkup and, you know, the shots that you would get for the injections and everything for schools. And I guess in my sophomore year in high school, when I was 16, I started experiencing joint pain, random muscle aches, inflammation later on came like about 6 months after my symptoms that I told the doctor of, and just fatigue, brain fog. And I would just come home from school and sleep for hours on end. So they just were like, oh, it's just part of being a teenager. You're really busy, have a lot going on. It's just growing pains. Don't worry about it. And then the following year I went back and, at that point it got a little worse. And that's when I started having inflammation in my wrist a little bit. And so I had to sit out of gym class because we didn't know what really was going on. So playing hard contact sports like tennis, softball wasn't really doable for me anymore. And I did play those when I was younger. So yeah. And then, I started noticing small changes in my hands, my knuckles on both hands. And it was more of like something that I could pick up, not really others, And I pointed out and she was like, oh no, it's fine. And then later on I went back and it was kind of more noticeable. So that's when she referred me to go see a rheumatologist. That's kind of my story. And then, and I got diagnosed here in Illinois, and I waited 6 months to go for a second opinion at Mayo Clinic, which is one of, number 3 in rheumatology, one of their hospitals. So, yeah.
Wow. So you went, so how old were you when it first all started? And then when you got the diagnosis, like how long did that take?
Yeah, 16 years old, I started having symptoms. Wow. And I was diagnosed at 18. However, I think I was having symptoms before 16, but they were very vague. And, it could have been like you're having a flu or a cold episode, it was really, hard to pick up like what exactly was going on.
Yeah, I hear that so often as well.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you trying to be a normal teenager, hanging out with friends, playing sports, etc., when in the back of your mind you've got this like fear creeping in that something is wrong, something's not right? How did you cope with that?
Well, with sports, it was a little easy because I didn't make the cut for the softball and tennis team the sophomore year. So it was like, whatever, okay, it's meant to be, right? But I didn't really care too much about that. Like, it was more of, like activities with friends or family outside of like anything. If like I wanted to play basketball one day, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
stuff I wanted to do on my own. I think that was what more got to me rather than playing high school sports.
Mm.
But, you know, I adapted, as best as I could. I didn't really have a choice. I had to make changes quickly because I already was waiting too long because they say the first 2 years of diagnosis with juvenile arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis especially is really crucial. But now they're coming out with studies that say the first 6 months
Oh, wow.
are the most crucial. So even the first couple months. So, like I said, I already waited long. And so I just really needed to get going and adapt quickly. So I had to change my diet overnight. And my friends were like, oh, thought you could drink and eat that yesterday, So I was like, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, a pretty big like shift, I would say. So,
Yeah, that sounds really difficult and difficult as
yeah,
well when you're going out with friends for food and things and
right.
they're planning restaurants and you kind of like, can I eat
Yeah. And
anything
over
at this
time,
place?
right. Yeah. And it
So,
took a lot of like strategic planning to like figure out like what restaurants, and luckily Yelp came around and all those apps that kind of help you like figure out what's gluten free, what's dairy free. But
yeah.
yeah, like growing up too, like in my early 20s, that was like the college years, and it was a little difficult too to kind of balance everything. So
Mm,
yeah, I did kind of, eat things I wasn't supposed to eat, or like, drink moderately on my medicine. Not really even, but the medicine I was taking allowed me to have like a drink here or there. But look, going back, if like I probably wouldn't have even, but I probably would have been more strict with what I needed to do. But then you still want to live life a little bit, right? So
well,
it's
yeah,
like
of
finding that
course.
balance.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the hardest part is finding that balance of
Yeah,
anything, isn't it? So, yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I know you said you searched the internet for answers because, as you
right.
put it, the internet is the only one that kind of actually listened to you. But
Yeah.
what kind of things did you find on there, and did they actually help you, or did they scare you a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, back when I was diagnosed in 2005, like there wasn't really much on the internet except like, I don't know, just information on WebMD or like, I don't know, other health websites. There wasn't really
Mm,
many bloggers I came across at that time because I didn't really know to look them up. I didn't even know like bloggers existed for these type of things. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So up until I was in college in 2008, 2009, that's when I started coming across people. And the RA guy was one of the first. I think he lives in South America, but he was one of the first blogs I came across, and he was a male. So, but
Mm,
he had a lot of interesting and relatable things on his platform. So he really helped me. Another woman, I found her in 2007. She's called Barking Dog Shoes, and
love
she,
that.
yeah. So she was a Spanish teacher. She got diagnosed, and she had to stop working because she had RA in her feet. It
Mhm.
impacted her feet. So she started reviewing shoes for a living. So when I was kind of going through like my issues, I'm like, I need better shoes. And so I came across hers. And everything else was more like through doctors' offices, word of mouth. Doctors would tell me, oh, you have to do this or that. And then I would just Google it, and then I would
Mhm.
find whatever. And I mean, I don't think it really scared me because intuitively I knew what was wrong with me before they diagnosed me. So I was expecting it anyways, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what scared me the most was the medications and how the doctors approached the situation.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yeah, with like
Wow.
telling me, oh, methotrexate or other medications can cause this X, Y, and Z, and then seeing the commercials, it doesn't really help a person take
No.
action. It makes you scared and kind of keeps you in that denial phase.
Yeah, definitely. And like
Yeah.
adverts in America are quite different to what we have in the UK. So when we
Mhm.
were over there and there was an advert that came on for like some kind of drug or medication or something, it
Right.
listed a lot of the side effects and stuff and it was
Yeah.
so scary to watch that and I can't imagine what that would be like if you were actually taking that medication.
Yeah, and one of the medications I was so scared of, the one is the one I'm on now, and it's actually helping me. So,
Oh, good.
sometimes what you fear the most is actually going to help you
Yeah.
in the end. But what helped me was like just tossing the side effects list right off, like into the garbage. I don't ever look at those because
Mm,
then you're just like thinking about it,
yeah.
and you don't really want to think about it. So,
No, exactly. So you had a lot of tests and things as well, didn't
Yeah.
you, in your diagnosis kind of process, like blood tests and X-rays, and there was
Right.
a final exam that finally confirmed everything that you were worried about. So
Yeah,
what
the
was that
final
moment?
exam was her looking at my hands and then
Yeah.
giving me a script to go see a specialist. And that's when they also looked at my hands, but my whole body. But then, really, what diagnoses someone is the blood tests and X-rays.
Hmm.
Because the symptoms with juvenile arthritis or any form of arthritis, they're all overlapping, and it can be similar to other diseases too, other autoimmune diseases and anything else. So you
Yeah.
really have to go by the tests, the X-rays and the blood tests.
Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it, as well, when you
Yeah.
have, like, there's so many autoimmune illnesses and
Hmm.
diseases out there. It's,
Right.
I think, quite hard sometimes for doctors maybe to diagnose that specific thing because they do
Yeah.
overlap quite a lot. So it's crazy. So when you finally get a diagnosis like that, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, some people with arthritis related conditions, they're not easily diagnosed either. Like,
No.
to say like blood tests and x-rays is going to find your answer is not really true either. But for
Mm,
me, I had a moderate to severe aggressive case, so that's why it was apparent.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how relieved were you when you finally got that after so long?
I was relieved because the medicine I ended up going on helped relieve the pain and the inflammation. So,
Mm,
it helped me live my life and go about college and just other things. I mean, yeah, there's always a double-edged sword with medication and being treated, right?
oh yeah.
So, uh, and that's why I
Yeah.
ended up seeking out like functional alternative medicine, which helped, I think, keep symptoms and side effects at bay as well from medication, which is really important.
Yeah, so I
So,
read a little bit about that on your blog as well, how you were wanting to try alternative treatments and herbal things
right.
and stuff, but the hospital weren't so keen on that, were they?
Yeah, like when I went to one of the hospitals to get a second opinion, this doctor, he seemed to have kind of the same attitude, sorry, I can't speak today, attitude towards many other patients that went there around the same time as me, because I
Mm,
connected with, and that's one thing I love about advocacy and like connecting with others online is sharing your story, but also realizing, hey, they've gone through that similar experience. So I connected with others who went to that same hospital the same year within the few years, and they
yeah.
saw that person too, and he would tell them the same things. But being an 18-year-old hearing like, oh well, because I had heard like alternative treatments can help, and I understand now that certain aggressive forms you need to take action fast with medication. I get that.
Mm,
Everyone has their own experiences. Whatever. Some people have been able to be successful with just gluten-free diet. Others, medication hasn't worked well for them, and others it has. But
hmm.
yeah, it was a little scary as an 18-year-old, like hearing that, because at that time I
Yeah.
didn't really have any damage in my hands. Like it was very minimal.
Mm,
So to have him be like, oh, well, if you do alternative treatments, you'll be in a wheelchair. I'm like, okay, you can't really like tell someone what their destiny is going to be, unless you have a
yeah.
crystal ball and be like, oh, well, but I understand based on the test results and the numbers that I had an aggressive form. So I think they were more of like cut and dry in their approach. But I
Mm.
think like doctors need to take a little bit more of a compassionate, empathetic route when talking to patients and not
Oh,
be like, oh, well,
definitely.
yeah, this, and this can happen because it's going to scare patients off. So,
Yeah, completely. And like, is this the same doctor that said that you'd be lucky to live till you were 60?
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
that
oh
was
my,
just,
you can't say that to someone.
he wasn't my doctor even. He was just the head of rheumatology there. And, I waited 6 months to get in and just be like seen for a second opinion. But
Oh,
when I
wow.
went home, they referred me to someone in my area. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that guy, he was kind of having that same approach with everyone who went there. But I think that was, he was trying to probably get them to do what he wanted, but at the end of the day, patients probably did the opposite. And I did, I didn't take that medicine because I was freaked out. So, um, but I did
God,
another
yeah.
medicine. So yeah, and it helped. So
Good, good. I'm glad
yeah.
it helped. I'm glad it helped. So tell us about the documentary that you've made and starred in. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so it was just a little passion project I did, and I raised some money on Kickstarter, and I luckily connected with one girl through one of the charities that you mentioned, Invisi Youth, and she's an actress, and she was at the event I hosted, so we got to talking. She's like, oh, I act here in Chicago, so I was like, oh, you want to be in my little film I'm trying to make? And so that was nice that I connected with her, and then doing some more research, I found some other people to collaborate with me, and it was basically in 2009, I had someone call the cops on me for thinking I was misusing a disability parking placard or a permit, whatever you
Gosh.
want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like one morning I was going to college, and basically it was like a winter morning. So I wasn't really feeling that well. And I had to like kind of get up early to get moving, take my medicine and whatnot. And it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I parked in front of the train. And then there was like these 3 little steps that take you onto the platform here in the train stations.
Mm-hmm.
And I hopped onto that platform by just like kind of running up the stairs and like flipping my backpack over my shoulder. But so to that person or anyone looking, they're probably like, okay, she's misusing it, but I really was in pain. And I
Yeah.
did have extensive, by that time, it was like 5 years into my diagnosis. I had more damage in my hands at the time, in my wrists
Mm.
and my elbow. So, and my pain, I had pain in my feet that morning as well. So it was more of like my experience living with invisible illness at that time, and that person not really knowing what I was going through.
Yeah.
And over time, I've connected with others who've had similar experiences, and even, I don't want to say worse, but there's been people who've had notes put on their car,
Oh,
derogatory
that is the
comments
worst.
in person, so it was just, and I was like, okay, well, this is still happening a decade later. And I felt like it was, nice to, I don't know, put it out there to raise
Yeah,
awareness.
totally.
Yeah.
So you actually included that into your documentary.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that is something that needs to be brought to the public's attention, because it happens
Yeah.
far too often, and it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And yeah. And
It's
so
ridiculous.
it is. And so I just wanted to also put the other perspective, just not really like victimize us or whatever, that we're like, oh, the poor ones getting the cops calling us, but whatever, it's true.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are other reasons why people do that. It's because they want to, I guess, defend those who are us, right? So,
Yeah.
or they,
Just quite
they might not.
ironically.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, some people don't always take the best approach, right? So it's
No.
the film is more to be like a little bit more mindful before we react. And we've all had our moments where we've said and done things we're not proud of, or like look back, okay, we could have done that differently.
Mm.
So that was kind of like, maybe take a step back before you react, because you don't really know what's going on in someone's life. And they could be going through the same thing you are, right? So, or a friend or
Yeah.
family member. And so I wanted to point that out too, that a lot of people that come up to someone, it's because they really feel that they're doing a service or, justice to those who really need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's just crazy how some people
Yeah.
react. It's like, really? As if you
Yeah.
haven't got anything else to do. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's mental. So being a patient advocate, and let's talk about that for a little bit. Like,
Sure.
how did you kind of get into that? And do you have any
Yeah.
advice for anybody else that would like to kind of get into that as well, and maybe start writing for different charities and things?
Yeah. So, when I was in college, I worked a little bit with the Arthritis Foundation as an intern, public relations intern, and then I
Mm-hmm.
just worked with them for a little bit. So I had a little bit of experience with advocacy then. I went to my state capital and, talked to congressmen as well, and did some work with underprivileged, communities here that really need help in gaining access to medication and services. And then I kind of went my own way for a little bit. And then when I started to experience some more issues with my health, and then I ended up having a knee replacement in 2016, while I was recovering, I was, I guess I just had a light bulb that went off in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start a blog, because I had came across a lot more people who were writing things. I'm like, I want to do this too, because in college, my major was partly writing and stuff. And so I've always had an
Mm-hmm.
interest in it, but I just didn't really know where and when to start, really. So Rising Above RA came into fruition during that time, and I started planning, and then I launched my blog, and shortly after, just my social media sites, and started mainly to connect with others, to kind of just talk to others about what they were going through, and then it kind of led to me giving back and helping others as well, to build like a community. So I
Yeah.
started slow, but my advice is just start, whatever that is. I started off with Twitter first, and I kind of put my toes in the water with that, because I didn't really know much about like how to start. So I was like, okay, I'll start a Twitter. And then a year later, everything else came. So yeah, and then just reach out to people. Don't be scared. Email someone if they have a contact on their site and you feel that you want to collaborate or you want to share your story. People are always more than willing to be open to that. And yeah,
Totally, yeah.
so
Yeah, that's 100% like the way that I started as
yeah.
well, was just like reaching out to the biggest charities that I could find
Hmm.
and just thinking like, right, come on, let's do
Yeah.
something, let's change things, you know.
Yeah.
Let's get some younger perspectives on this stuff, because yeah, they didn't have a
Yeah.
lot of that at the time. It's interesting how people start, I think. So how long have you been doing that for now, would you say?
Yeah, since 2016. Yeah. And then I came across another organization called We Go Health and
Hmm.
started, I emailed them and started getting involved a little bit. And yeah, so it was nice to collaborate with them. I still do some work with them. I was on their patient leader advisory board. I won an award for Rookie of the Year in 2018, which was unexpected. And then, yeah, so there's a lot of like organizations out there. You just have to search for what you feel is in tune with what your mission is.
Mm.
And yeah, because not everyone and everything is going to be for you. And that's what I've learned as well. Like you're going to have to delegate like what you want to put your energy into. So
Yes, totally, totally.
because you can when you start you're going to feel like overwhelmed a little bit and like you want to do everything, and
Yeah.
then you'll learn over time that how to streamline things, and then be like, okay, yes to this, no to this, and it's not personal, it's just what your vision is in line with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. And you've got to find people that you kind of fit with as well,
Yeah, like
if you
your
know what I mean.
tribe.
So then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you're building your own tribe, and you've got to kind of marry that up with charity's mission and things like
Yeah.
that.
And also another piece of advice is to branch out to others who don't have your condition.
Mm.
Because I've connected with, like, even you, a lot of people who don't have my health issues, but we all have relatable stories and can resonate with each other and even collaborate. So
Yeah,
that's
totally.
another good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all about collaboration. That's what I've learned in
Right.
this industry. It's
Yeah.
all about collaboration, because the invisible illness family is the kind of one big family, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It is.
Because nobody gets us, and they're all
Yeah.
out. So
We
can you
only get us.
exactly, you don't get it until you get it. I've said that
Yeah.
so many times, but so true. So can you tell us a little bit more about arthritis, what it is? Are there a lot of different
Yeah.
types about it? Because to be honest, I get
Sure.
confused about them. I hear
Yeah. So
so
do I.
many, and I'm just like, what? So what's the difference?
Yeah, there's 100 different forms of arthritis. I don't
Oh,
even know
wow.
all. Yeah, I don't even know all of them, and I can't pronounce a lot of them. To be honest, I mean, I'm not a doctor, so. But yeah, for juvenile arthritis, there's different subcategories. The one that I was diagnosed with specifically, it's called juvenile idiopathic polyarticular arthritis. I think it's actually the other way around, but yeah, so it affects more than 4 to 5 joints within the first 6 months, and it can mimic adult RA and lead
Okay.
into adulthood. So that's kind of why I ended up calling my blog Rising Above Rheumatoid Arthritis, because I'm pretty much treated like as an adult, even though, at 32, I'm I'm not a teenager anymore. But yeah, so it's just the protocol is the same, but I'm still, having an adulthood now. And yeah, there's other forms of arthritis that people can get, and they're all similar to juvenile arthritis. Like rheumatoid arthritis, though, there's one big difference, and a lot of people get confused because juvenile arthritis used to be called juvenile rheumatoid arthritis,
Hmm.
and everyone thought that the childhood version was exactly the same thing, but it's not.
Ah,
So they
okay.
ended up changing it to juvenile arthritis or juvenile idiopathic arthritis. And that is because a lot of kids, they have their eye impacted and other joints that sometimes aren't seen in adults. Like,
Mm.
let's say your knee or elbow, they're more prevalent in kids for some reason.
Okay.
And that's what happened to me, my elbow. And I didn't have any issues with my eyes, but a lot of people do. And another thing is people with adult RA, they can also have issues with their eyes, but it's mainly seen in kids. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot of overlap, and really it's complicated. But yeah, so I hope I explained that. I don't know if I did, but yeah.
I've got a
Yeah,
better
I don't
idea. So how does it really feel to be in your body every day? What's that like?
um I don't know. Every day is different. So one day can be bad, one day can be good. It's just like sometimes I can have like a dull ache or like a sharp pain somewhere. I don't really know, what one day is going to be like, compared to the
Yeah,
next.
I get that.
But, right now I don't really feel much, thankfully. But, like 5 days ago, I was like, tired, or I was achy, it just really depends. But you don't really know what causes it. It could be like you worked out too much or you ate something.
Yeah,
So it's like, it's hard to tell. Yeah.
it sounds
But
such a pain.
yeah, but uncontrolled RA is not fun. It's, you're having severe pain like daily.
Yeah, yeah. God, it just sounds like really hard, and it sounds like
Yeah.
anything can kind of trigger it as well. Is that right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Weather, diet, yeah.
Fun
So,
times.
yeah. I mean, they don't really know what causes any form of arthritis. There's no cure for any
Mm,
of them. There's all it's just treatments. So, no matter what anyone has out of the 100 forms, medicine and
hmm.
lifestyle changes is pretty much what's prescribed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, so before we go, what
Sure.
advice would you give to somebody else who is suspecting arthritis but is not quite been diagnosed yet?
Yeah, I would follow up with your doctor as soon as possible.
Hmm.
And if that doctor doesn't feel there's anything wrong, then go to someone else. Don't wait for someone to tell you that nothing is wrong if you have an intuition that something is wrong. And
Totally.
your intuition is telling you something's wrong. Yeah. And take action fast. Don't be scared. Just do what you need to do, because a lot of people don't understand that when with autoimmune arthritis or any form of arthritis, no matter if it's from injuries, old age, once the damage occurs, there's no reversing it. So that's why people end up having joint replacement surgeries, trying to go for stem cell therapy, regrow tissue that way, which hasn't really been, developed well yet, but
Yeah.
that's what people end up having to do. And, physical disability, deformities. So when people are trying to shove things in your face and say, oh, well, try this herb, try this supplement, try this diet, that's fine. You can do those things. But if it's not working, you need to take action. And I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, if I could go back and tell myself something, it would be like I do everything all at once in combination. That's what I did. But at
Yeah.
first, for a couple months, I did try all natural, and it didn't work for me at all. And because there was other underlying things going on, like viral infections, gut issues that weren't detected by doctors and weren't
Mm,
looked into. So you're going to really have to do your research and just push for answers. And there's a lot of information now on the net that will
yeah.
tell you, check your gut, check your lifestyle changes, stress levels, everything. But most importantly, get on medicine, because you don't want to become physically disabled to the point where you can't work. And a lot of people with different forms of arthritis, they end up going on disability within 10 years. So
Yeah.
it's a serious condition that needs to be really taken care of quickly. So yeah, that's my advice.
That's awesome, and that's 100% totally
Yeah.
true. I mean, like, if you think something is wrong, then you've got to really, fight it in some cases when doctors are
Yeah.
telling you, like, oh, no, you can't be in pain, you're too young, or things like that. It's just,
Right.
yeah, it's
And
sometimes it's
people,
rubbish.
yeah, people get comfortable with their doctors too, and
Oh,
we
yeah,
have to
totally.
remember we don't owe them anything. They end up they're working for us at the end of the day. But,
Hmm.
we have our own health in our hands. So if
Yeah.
you don't like what they're saying, or you feel like something else is wrong, just call someone else up and go see a specialist yourself. A lot of doctors nowadays, they don't need referrals. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. So true. So before we go, we have a question from our Enabled Warriors Facebook group.
Oh, cool.
Claire wanted to know,
Sure.
what are your top tips for relieving chronic pain and reducing its burden on everyday life? Great question, Claire.
Okay, medicine, I would say, helps. And reducing stress. I feel that no
Yes.
matter what alternative therapies you do, medicine you take, if the stress is still going to be in your life, whether that be from a job, relationship, anything, then you're not going to get better either. And also dealing with any other underlying, like, mental health issues, like depression or grief or whatever there is, you have to, what's that? There's a quote that says you have to um, deal to heal, kind of thing. You have to go through it to heal. So really
that.
sitting down and like meditating on like what you need to change in your life can really help shift a lot of things into a better direction. And they do say stress raises cortisol, cortisol raises inflammation, and that's how disease starts too. So I would say stress, managing that.
Absolutely.
Along with everything else.
Yeah, totally. I could not agree more. And stress affects every chronic illness. It's not just specific to rheumatoid arthritis. I think it's literally just the same across the board. So Enabled Warriors listening, if you want some help to manage your stress, you can take a 5-day challenge if you go to www.enabledwarriors.org, and you can start that through Facebook Messenger. Rather fun.
Awesome.
Okay. Effie, it's super quick secrets round.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? Let's do
it. Okay.
Okay, Enabled Warriors, we have talked about some heavy stuff today. Let's have some fun before we go. This is the part of the show where we find out a little bit more about the personality of our guest with some super quick secrets. Are you ready for this?
Them. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, what is the most inspiring book you think you've ever read?
That was the hardest question that you sent me. I don't have one. I don't know what to say, but I've read so many books that are amazing. I feel that I just don't have one on top of my head right now. I know that's bad. And but yeah, so yeah, I don't have one.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine. What is the weirdest thing that you've ever done?
The weirdest thing I've ever done? Play a prank on like a family member or a friend, like pretending I was like someone else I wasn't, like on the phone or something. I don't know.
Oh, awesome.
Like, yeah.
So you went full on Bart Simpson.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is amazing. I'd love to know what happened with that.
Yeah.
What is your most favorite place you've ever visited?
Yeah, I love Greece. I'm from Greece. That's my most favorite place I've visited so far. I haven't really traveled much beyond that, but I would like to. But that's a really beautiful place.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Gotta go there. What is the scariest thing you've ever done?
Yeah, zip lining over the Las Vegas Canyon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
seriously?
It was like we had to hike up like 6 different sites, and then we zip lined over each of them, and there was like just canyon underneath you, like thousands of feet underneath nothing. Yeah. My friend dragged me that time, and it was like 10 years ago, and I was like, okay, never again.
It was one of those.
Yeah, it was one of those one and done things.
One and done things. Never doing that again. It's amazing how many people say that after they jump out of a plane. Say, oh, would you do it again? And they're like, no, never. And you're like, okay.
It was pretty much like jumping out of a plane, but I had to do it 6 times.
Oh my God.
Because it was like, imagine. Yeah, you know how like when you go zip lining over like a canopy or like the rainforest, this was like that, but like nothing underneath you. It was just rocks. So,
wow.
Yeah. It was scary.
Wow. I actually watched a video, it's slightly unrelated, but kind of related. I watched a video not so long ago about some people that camped over the Grand Canyon. Yeah. As in, like, between all the rocks, just hanging there.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh my God. No, I could not do that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so where can other warriors find out more about you and what you do, Effie?
They can just follow me on social media, Rising Above RA. My Twitter and Instagram is that, and same with my blog, Rising Above RA. So you guys can connect me there. And if you guys want to find out what my favorite book is or inspiring book, I'll get back to you. I just really, I'm like one of those people that's so indecisive when it comes to that, like picking my favorite stuff. Like, I don't know, like colors. I have like 3 favorite colors. So it's like, I don't know what to say sometimes, but yeah.
Oh, I'm with you on that one. Don't you worry. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Effie. We have learned so much from you. I'm so grateful to have spent the time with you today. Thank you so much. Connect with Effie at Rising Above RA. Pretty much, I'll put all the links in the show notes anyways up above, so you can go and connect with Effie. And it's amazing. So remember, warriors, stay enabled. Thank you so much, Effie. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Enabled Warriors listening, if you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, please like it, please comment on it, share it with someone else that you think it could benefit, that it could help, because this is why we're doing it. We're doing it to encourage more people with chronic illness to be enabled, who just needs to not feel alone. We don't want people to feel alone. We need them to feel part of the community. Join the tribe on Facebook and Instagram. Just search Enabled Warriors or Disabled to Enabled. If you want to fight back against your invisible illness and help take the dis out of disability, then join the tribe on Facebook, facebook.com/Enabled Warriors. If you love this podcast, click that subscribe button and never miss another episode. And remember, warriors, stay enabled.